Good morning and welcome to the Fulbright Mastermind, your step-by-step guide to completing a winning Fulbright program application. I am Kimberly Osborne, the Cultural Affairs Assistant in the Public Affairs section here at U.S. Embassy Kingston. And what does that mean to you? Well, I am one in a 4-member team that administers the Fulbright program here in Kingston, Jamaica. All right, so the Fulbright Graduate Student Program's application process is quite competitive. Prospective applicants are encouraged to carefully consider their goals, future plans, and prospective projects before applying for the Fulbright Graduate Student Program. All submitted applications are reviewed initially for program eligibility and technical completeness. Participants are recruited on an open competition and selected based on merit, Consideration is also given to applicants' leadership potential, academic excellence, community involvement, maturity, ability to adjust successfully to academic life in the US, strong interest in cultural exchange, and potential to promote mutual understanding between the US and Jamaica. Of note, all applications and supporting material must be submitted online through the website linked below by July 31st, 2022 at 10:59 p.m. Jamaica time. Please remember, Jamaica time. Once shortlisting is completed, interviews are conducted by a panel from the U.S. Embassy and alumni of the program. With that said, today we have with us Mrs. Renisha Blake Gilmore, 2019 Fulbright Graduate Student Program PhD candidate, to give us some tips on completing and submitting the Fulbright Graduate Student Program application. But before we get into any of that, you heard what I said? She's a 2019 Fulbright graduate student. That means Renisha is still in the US right now. She's right there doing her program. Renisha, tell us how it's going.
Wagwan, Kimberly Joe, it is great just to be back in the presence of the Public Affairs Section team, the U.S. Embassy. You guys have been very supportive on my Fulbright journey, and I'm highly appreciative of everything that you guys are doing. So yes, I am a 2019 Foreign Fulbright Student Grant recipient, and my journey has been an exponential learning experience. I've been able to network, I've been able to hone my skills, time management. You mentioned earlier Jamaica time, but we know that sometimes Jamaica time doesn't necessarily mean being on time on the dot. So most definitely, it's been a life-changing experience, Kimberly Joe, and I just can't wait to put into action everything that I've been learning here at Old Dominion University in my PhD program.
Wow. Wow. I'm happy you touched on that Jamaica time though. It's a real thing for us. All right, so let's dive right into it and start helping folks getting that winning application together. All right. So, Renisha, I'm applying for the Fulbright program. How can I make my application more successful?
Okay, it's great to hear that you're applying, Kimberly Joe. I'm kidding. I know that it's not necessarily you. But I think I can share from my personal experience. The first thing I would say, and I think this comes first and foremost, is to be yourself. Be authentic. Do not put in the application what you think will look pretty or what you think will perhaps put you in a light that's not necessarily your authentic self. So that's the first thing, and this translates into your personal statement, which we will probably discuss later. It also translates into just selling yourself for what you are, telling your story, and just being yourself throughout the process. Because at the end of the day, the truth is going to come to light regardless. The second tip that I will give is to prepare, right? We often hear, if you fail to prepare, plan to fail. It is true. It might sound cliche, but I can tell you that a lot of work goes into this almost year-long Fulbright application process. So prepare, do your research, be prepared to, if you're going into a university, research that university, see what the culture is like. All these things help me to prevent culture shock at the end of the day and just to know more about my environment more. And finally, I'd like to say, be true to your purpose. So whatever it is that you truly want to do, ensure that you stick to that, right? Of course, we can grow and evolve, but this is a journey that you're going to be married to, literally. So you want to ensure that you're staying true to who you are, your purpose, and ensure that you're being authentic, and be sure to prepare.
All right. So I'm jotting down notes and I'm hearing what you're saying. So it's firstly, be me, be authentic. Don't change who I am at the core.
Yes.
Plan to prepare or plan to fail. So research the universities I'm interested in, the ones that have the fields that are appropriate for me, and the program plan that I want to complete. And then finally, be true to my purpose. So know what it is and stick to that. That's basically it.
Yes, most definitely. It's okay to grow along the way. Most definitely
Okay.
you will, but stay true to that purpose that you have at the beginning of your journey.
All right. You mentioned personal statement earlier. What should I put in my personal statement and how long should it be?
Okay, so your personal statement should be short and spicy. And again, I say this from personal experience. Consider your personal statement a bit of who you are and just an appetizer to the interview, because if you are selected for the Fulbright program or conditionally accepted, you will need to do an interview. So it's normally around 2 pages long, and make sure it is very short and spicy. The spicy bit, you want to ensure that again you are reflecting or you're incorporating your true self, right? So you want to put the truth. Do not put something that's going to be contrary to what you must share during the interview, right? You want to include, how you plan to link your current experiences to your Fulbright journey. You also want to include, why should Fulbright choose you to be a next Fulbrighter here in the US? So you have to ensure that it is short and spicy. Put the truth, again, be true to yourself. Include any character traits that you think might be appealing to the Fulbright panel, but again, ensure that it's the truth, right? And you also want to include bridges. So ensure that you show how your first degree leading to your second degree and your third degree, how these all culminate into that Fulbright experience that you are about to go on. But just ensure that it's just short and spicy, and that you leave some things to the imagination of the Fulbright panel when it's time for your interview.
Wow, that was a mouthful. So an appetizer, right? Short and spicy, reflection on current self and how that connects to who and where I aspire to be. I can get that done. But what's the difference between the personal statement and the statement of study or research? How do I differentiate those?
That's a great question, because we do not want to duplicate efforts. So consider your personal statement selling you, selling your character, your skills, where you're from, your story, and why Fulbright should choose you. But then you want to sell in your research statement your research skills, the universities that you're scoping, the research area that you're scoping, and how those characteristics that you've outlined in the personal statement will actually be useful in you achieving your research goals. So for example, if you're a quantitative researcher, or if you're a qualitative researcher, you'd want to put that. And perhaps if you're going to do a master's or a PhD, you want to start thinking about the topic that you'll be embarking on. You want to think about the different universities. You want to think about perhaps individuals that you've spoken to at those universities and how everything will link during your course of study. So again, personal statement is definitely selling yourself, your traits, your goals, your characteristics, why Fulbright should choose you. But then when we go over to the research statement, that's more going into your research. That's where you want to show the research skills. This is where you want to list projects that you've worked on and show how these will translate into your Fulbright journey as a researcher, because there will be a research component in the Fulbright program. So Fulbright also wants to know that you have that down pat as it relates to honing those research skills, transferring skills, and being successful at the end of the day, whether it's in your thesis or in your dissertation if you are pursuing a PhD like I'm pursuing right now. I hope that's clear in terms of the difference between the two.
I think I got it. I'm going to tell you how I heard it, and let me know if that's what you were saying. So my personal statement is selling myself. Why should Fulbright choose me, as opposed to the statement of study or research, which is basically me saying what I have to offer, what skills I have to offer, and which of those skills I'd like to sharpen.
Yes,
that's basically it.
You summed it up nicely, Joe.
Nice. So I'm getting somewhere. All right. I'm being asked about a writing sample though in the Fulbright application, and am I really required to create a writing sample for this?
So first of all, let's discuss briefly what the writing sample is. After your research statement, you've outlined these ambitious goals and you've outlined so nicely who you are, your character, traits, etc. How can Fulbright really be sure? Who is this person? Like, what does this person have to bring to the table? So in your writing sample, what you're doing is that you're illustrating to Fulbright that this is my writing style, this is what I've done in the past, and this is what I plan to bring to the Fulbright program. So you want to be your best self, right? So this sample, and what I did is I didn't reinvent the wheel, right? In that, I took one of my papers from my master's program in my policy course that was perhaps 12 pages or so. But what I wanted to do was to ensure that I chose a paper that was really good. So I received 100% on that paper, very rare. Nice. And so I thought to myself, oh, perhaps this is what I want to share with Fulbright. This is what represents me as a researcher, and this is the standard that I plan to uphold during the Fulbright program. So no, you do not need to create, right, a writing sample. Normally, this is something that you've done before. If you have a paper and you feel comfortable enough sharing that paper with Fulbright, go ahead. But ensure though that it doesn't surpass 5 pages, because come on, we do not want to read more than 5 pages, right? Even us, like in academia, sometimes we get bored by 5 pages. I mean, if you're a good enough writer, sure, go ahead. But you want to ensure that you stick to around 5 pages max, and you want to ensure at the end of the day that your writing sample represents you as a great writer and researcher.
All right. So don't reinvent the wheel. That's basically it with the writing sample. Use writings that we have from before. So if it's a researcher, we can use a previous research paper. If I'm an artist, say for example, I am a writer, a creative writer, I could use a sample from something I've done before. However, I should cap it at 5 pages.
Yes, 5 pages, because think about all the pages that you're already submitting to Fulbright. So everything, it adds up, right? So again,
good point. All right. So the application system is also asking that I choose universities in rank order. How many universities should I choose? And do I concurrently apply to the universities while I submit my Fulbright application?
That is a great question. And, even as a Fulbrighter now, that's a question that I get from a lot of prospective Fulbrighters.
Okay.
The answer to the latter aspect of the question is no, you do not concurrently apply to universities while you're applying to Fulbright. What I love about the Fulbright program, well, one of the things that I absolutely love about the Fulbright program is that there's almost always a helping hand throughout the process. What does that mean? Simply means that when you are unconditionally given a Fulbright offer, you will have someone, a Fulbright advisor, who will help you to apply to these universities. So, no, you should not have any pending university applications. You should not apply, but be sure though to research the universities and rank them. So, for example, 5 universities, right? I would say 5 is a good number. But if it is that you want more than 5, perhaps 7 is a cap. But 5 is a good number to submit to Fulbright to say, okay, I've researched these universities, I'm in contact with the graduate program coordinator, or I'm in contact with a professor who I think would be suitable to be my thesis supervisor or my dissertation supervisor. So just to be sure, do not concurrently apply while you're applying for Fulbright. That will come in the latter stages. And be sure to have about 5 to 7 universities. I think Fulbright will only need 5 listed, but you want to ensure that these universities are universities that you've researched and universities that you think are great in the research area that you want. For example, I'm a public policy major. I wouldn't choose a research area or a research organization or institution that I think is the best fit for that research area. So again, be sure to do your research before listing these universities in rank order.
Okay. Um, and you mentioned something about working with professors. So
Yes.
if I've reached out to universities before and I've done this 4 to 5 universities and I made contact either with someone in admissions or in the department itself, can I submit their information as contacts in the application?
Yes, that is something that you can do. But whilst you are contacting those individuals from the university, be sure to manage expectations. Do not
Okay.
say, okay, I've been selected, because then this is something that Fulbright will stress, the public affairs section will stress, Kimberly Joe will stress. Do not say, I have received this Fulbright scholarship. So do not tell the professor, listen, I'm coming in August and we need you to put me on the schedule or anything like that, right? You want to ensure that you manage expectations, but absolutely include these individuals when you are submitting your Fulbright application. And that will, just conjure up this relationship between, and sometimes the organizations are considered Fulbright organizations too, based on just the amount of applicants in the past that have been to these universities. So you never know. Sometimes you can get like special caveats in your offer. For example, I got a Fulbright waiver, right, for my tuition exceeding the 2 years. So you never know what the university has to offer, but these things might not be things that they want to discuss with you. So it's good to make that connection in your Fulbright application between the university personnel and the Fulbright advisor, so that they can converse to see, what kind of barata you might get at the end of the day that wasn't originally discussed.
Wow. Thanks so much for that, Renisha. I think that was an interesting point too, because I wasn't expecting that. I'm just looking at the fact that I just want the in, but there is more that can be had with relationships formed and over the time, the networking that is had after the process is completed. All right. So, with that said, I've gotten personal statement, sample letter out of the way. They're asking me for recommendation letters. How do I submit it and how many do I need?
That's a great question. And there's so many, this is a multifaceted topic when we talk about the recommendation letters, because there's so many aspects to it. But just to be direct in my response, you need about 3 references or recommendation letters. So 3, I think that is what Fulbright recommends. That is what they need, 3. If you think you need to put more than 3, you'll probably include that in another place in your application, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend. But for example, in your personal statement, if you want to make notes of a professor you worked with on a project, that's fine. But 3 is definitely how many letters you need. Now, your letters are submitted electronically. So in your Fulbright application, there's going to be another link. And when you include the emails for your referees, the Fulbright or the system will reach out to them with a timeline, a deadline to say, okay, Renisha has submitted her Fulbright application. We need you to go into this system, right? And we need you to fill out this application, this recommendation letter by X time. Now, on that note, I just want to say, choose individuals to be your referees who will be great advocates for you, people who can sell you, people who can be on time. We know that individuals are busy, right? Have busy schedules, so not everyone might be willing to allocate that time. But remember, this is time sensitive. And if it is that Fulbright doesn't receive those recommendation letters on time, that might jeopardize your entire Fulbright journey, all the year of work that you've already included. So 3 recommendation letters, they are submitted electronically, because really and truly, we as the applicants, we're not supposed to see what's in
I
those
was
letters.
just about to ask you that.
You're not
So
supposed
I
to
don't get to see it? I don't get
No,
to see what they ask,
you
what they
do
write
not.
about me?
No, and that is why you want to choose people, Kimberly Joe, who will, sell you, not tell a lie, no, we know, but individuals who
All
you
right.
worked with, who will be able to sell you as the great person you are, the great researcher, the great student, the leader that you are. Because remember, Fulbright looks for holistic, multifaceted individuals, so just individuals who can sell you in a good light.
Hold on, Renisha. So it's three references, right?
Yes.
What kind of references? Is it character reference, professional reference, or academic reference? Or can I get a mix?
So it's great to have a good mix. I would recommend normally that, and Fulbright recommends that you have a mix of character reference and professional references. So you want to ensure that you're not just selling one side. You're not getting
Okay.
individuals who can speak to just what you've been doing at the University of the West Indies, for example, in my case. But you want individuals who can say, okay, yes, man, time management, she have that down pat.
Okay.
Or you want someone to say, okay, she's on time, or she's an honest individual. So it's good for you to sell yourself in that personal statement, but you also need individuals who will be able to sell you as a honest person who's good at time management, but also someone who can get the work done at the end of the day. So mix it up in terms of the references.
All right. Here's a big one. No, I'm a Jamaican. I'm from CXC. It wasn't called CSEC yet.
Yes.
Was just starting CAPE that time. And the application says I need to do GRE, the Graduate Record Examination Test. No, I understand that that's a matriculation exam for the US, but do I need to take that and submit it when applying for the Fulbright graduate student program?
So yes, the GRE can be daunting, let me say that up front. But come on, people, we're bright, and that's the reason why we applied for the Fulbright program initially. So don't be scared. Let me just put that out there. Don't be scared. There are several guides that can help you. Now, you do not take the GRE initially when you're applying. With Fulbright, almost everything is post hoc then. This means that after you've been conditionally accepted, this is when a lot of the work goes in, apart from the work that you've been doing, in the application itself. So GRE is to be taken this test is to be taken when you are provisionally accepted for the Fulbright. And again, the public affairs section, Kimberly will guide you through the process, the website, everything. Use the time though while you're preparing your Fulbright application to study, practice, study for the GRE because it will be, as I say, it can be a daunting process and but we understand that again preparation, this is a part of the preparation that I spoke to initially. It will be necessary at the end of the day, so do not take GRE before unless you feel the need to, but Fulbright does not recommend that you take it prior to being accepted until the public affairs section has instructed you to do so. And Kimberly, I think, if there are any pointers that I may have missed, feel free to chime in with those.
Um, all right. So stepping back from my application rule for the GRE, as Renisha rightfully said, um, you can go ahead and sit the GRE before submitting an application. However, currently it is not mandatory to sit the GRE exam before your application is submitted. Currently, what we're doing is we're allowing you to go through the process. If it is that you are shortlisted, you will come in for your interview. And once you are provisionally accepted to the Fulbright program, you'll be asked to complete the GRE exam by September 15th of every year for submission. So there is a hard deadline for when the GRE grades are to be received. However, if it is that you are not yet prepared, as Renisha has said, or you would like to wait to see if you are shortlisted, you can go ahead and do so at that time. All right. So, Renisha, any final tips for us? I feel like I could have a fulsome application, but I feel like maybe there is a little bit more that I could do to make it better. Any final tips for us?
Absolutely, Kimberly Joe. And again, speaking from my experience, what I will say is be yourself, be authentic, right? It will pay off in the end. Be true to your purpose, right? Whatever it is that you want for yourself, whatever area it is that you want to influence in Jamaica, the wider Caribbean region, stay true to that throughout the entire process. In the interview, represent you, show who you are, show that you are this individual who will continue to keep the Jamaican flag flying high wherever it is that you go for your Fulbright scholarship. Prepare, right? Do mock interviews. I remember I had probably like 3 mock interviews for my Fulbright. Sometimes the process might seem simple, but remember that Fulbright is looking for the best of the best. The fact that you've already applied shows that you're already winning. But we want to ensure that
That's
we
right.
maintain that consistency throughout our application to the very end and on the Fulbright program. So that leads me to my next point. Do not think that when you've applied and when you've gotten the scholarship, that's the end. No, the journey is just beginning. So stay true to your purpose. Ensure that you remember why you started in the first place. Maintain that excellence, right? Be consistent. Ensure that you understand that you're going to a new place and you want to like just continue being yourself, be authentic. And another thing, and I think I must share this, especially considering the pandemic and everything that we're going through right now, be resilient, right? Be resilient because things will happen. The Fulbright journey will not be a bed of roses. I can tell you that. But once you're resilient, dedicated, you're true to yourself, and you're preparing as you go along, I think you're on your way to a phenomenal Fulbright journey. So, yes, I think those are the tips that I have. And at the end of the day, when you come to the end of a journey, it's just the beginning of another beautiful one. So just enjoy the journey. I enjoy the journey. Remember, it's cultural exchange as well. So immerse yourself. I'm a cosmopolitan country girl, and so I continue to immerse myself in the cities here. But that doesn't say I don't like my country. I love Jamaica. Jamaica, right? But at the end of the day, I want to learn more about the culture that's here in the US. Eat the food. We love our belly, so eat the food. Go to the music festival, go to the music festivals, and just immerse yourself in the culture as well. But this is just the beginning, and the fact that you are at the stage where you're on the Fulbright program, this simply means that nothing is insurmountable, and you got this. All Fulbright applicants, you got this.
Well said, Ranisha. I really like that. You got this. All right. So just in wrapping up what Ranisha has said today and what your application, the base of your application is about, remember that the Fulbright Graduate Student Program is a merit-based program, right? So your application is based on you, what you can do, what you are about. As Ranisha stressed in different points in answering many of the questions, it's about being you. It's the authenticity that makes you you. So we want to see that. We want to see you, right? So that should come out in your application. Remember that your personal statement should be no more than 2 pages. Your statement on study or research should be no more than 3 pages. And your sample writing should be no more than 5 pages. And don't go reinventing the wheel. Take a sample of writing that you have from a previous dissertation, a previous research, or a previous piece of work. You do not need to create a new thing. And your recommendation letters, you should have 3 references. That's the minimum, 3 references. As Ranisha said, you can choose to have more. And oftentimes we recommend if you can get 4 or 5, that is quite fine. Why? Because at the end of the day, we will also select the best of the applications received to get 3 to submit to the Fulbright Foreign Student Board, right? With your references too, make it a holistic selection of persons who know you and can speak well of you and are willing to speak on your behalf as your reference. So you're looking at character references, professional references, and academic references. With that said, thank you very much for being here with us. If anyone has any questions, we can definitely take that. You can also reach out to us. Reach out to us at Kingston Exchanges at state.gov, and we would be more than willing to respond to your questions and to guide you accordingly. This is a big step to apply for a Fulbright program, and it's a step that we welcome anyone who is eligible and qualified to do so. We look forward to receiving your applications. And yeah, thank you for joining us.